Because even if he went to prison, it'd probably be a better thing. He'd probably be more happy in prison than in the streets. Because at least in prison, he can get all the baby oil he wants. He can have all the men he wants, anyway, anyhow, and all day and all night. But what I'm trying to say is that some of the things, the charges is not true. But I know they're not going to let Puffy go to prison. He should just have his faith in God, pull up his pants, and go up there and tell his truth.
Wow. Suge Knight just told Diddy straight up to man up, testify, and spill his truth. He might be locked up in prison, but that hasn't stopped him from shaking up headlines. And this time, he's coming to the defense of a man he once stood against. In a bizarre twist no one saw coming, Suge Knight is now urging Sean Diddy Combs to testify in his explosive federal trial. And the timing of this public advice couldn't be more intense. Diddy is facing some of the most serious charges imaginable: racketeering conspiracy, transporting individuals for, let's just say explicit acts, and all while his empire crumbles in real time. But what exactly did Suge say? And why now? In a phone interview from prison with CNN's Laura Coates, Suge Knight didn't hold back. He told Diddy to stop hiding behind lawyers and PR teams, and instead have faith in God and speak directly to the court.
From what you know about Diddy, Puffy, as you call him, Sean Combs, do you think that he will want to testify in his own defense?
He probably was advised not to, but I feel if he do tell his truth, he really would walk. He can humanize his own self, and the jury might give him a shot. But if they keep him sitting down, it's like he's scared to face the music. He should just have his faith in God, pull up his pants, and go up there and tell his truth.
Given what you've heard from these witnesses this week, what you've heard about, do you think there's a possibility that Diddy gets acquitted?
Well, one of the things you got to believe is that I don't feel that the prosecution wanted him that bad, because a lot of stuff they had on him, they left out. I think that Puffy did a lot of favors for these people over the years. And I'm quite sure they owe Puffy a lot of favors.
Wow. He even said that he thinks Diddy could potentially walk free. According to Suge, testifying is Diddy's best shot at humanizing himself, at letting the jury, the media, and the public see a man instead of a monster. Even Donald Trump himself said he'd consider pardoning Diddy if he believes justice wasn't served.
You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
Well, nobody's asked. You had to be the one to ask, Peter, but nobody's asked. But I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening, and I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. I haven't seen him. I haven't spoken to him in years. He used to really like me a lot, but I think when I ran for politics, that relationship busted up. From what I read, I don't know, he didn't tell me that, but I'd read some little bit nasty statements in the paper all of a sudden, I don't know, I would certainly look at the facts. If I think somebody was mistreated, whether they like me or don't like me, it wouldn't have any impact.
Suge warned that staying silent makes Diddy look scared to face the music, he said bluntly. And coming from Suge Knight, a man currently serving 28 years for a deadly hit and run, those words carry a certain chilling weight. Because whatever you think of Suge, he's not someone who's ever been afraid of the spotlight or the consequences. So why is he urging Diddy to do what most defense attorneys would advise against? Well, let's not forget the history here. Suge Knight and Diddy were once bitter rivals at the heart of one of the most dangerous feuds in music history, the East Coast versus West Coast War of the 90s. Suge helped launch Tupac Shakur's career under death row, while Diddy was elevating Biggie Smalls with Bad Boy Records. That rivalry ended in bloodshed, and the unsolved murders of both Tupac and Biggie have haunted hip-hop ever since. So the idea of Suge now speaking up in Diddy's favor, it's surreal. But it's also strategic, because Suge knows firsthand what it means to be on trial, to lose control of the narrative, to be caged while the world outside spins its own version of your story. And maybe, just maybe, he sees in Diddy a reflection of his own fall from grace. Or maybe it's something darker. Maybe Suge is planting a seed, suggesting that if Diddy doesn't speak, he's hiding something even worse. And make no mistake, this trial has already been a circus of revelations. Multiple witnesses have taken the stand, each painting a picture more disturbing than the last. Cassie, Diddy's former partner, didn't just testify, she detonated. She described years of alleged emotional manipulation, violent outbursts, and coercive control. But she wasn't alone. Former Danity Kane member Dawn Richard added her voice, recounting the suffocating atmosphere around Diddy, the fear he instilled in his artists, the way he allegedly bent people to his will. And then there was Kid Cudi, who didn't just tell the court about Diddy's anger, he spoke about a car explosion. Yes, according to his car mysteriously caught fire in his driveway after Diddy found out he was dating Cassie. An expert determined that the fire was as a result of a Molotov cocktail being intentionally used. He didn't point fingers directly, but the implication, unmistakable. If true, it sends a chilling message. Cross Diddy, and there are consequences. Because of all this, the pressure is mounting. Not just on Diddy, but on everyone who ever stood next to him. The courtroom strategy so far has been silence. Plead not guilty, sit back, and let the lawyers do the talking. But with every new headline, every new piece of testimony, that silence feels heavier, more incriminating. And that's exactly why Suge's message hits so hard. He's calling out that silence. He's saying, "You look guilty, man. You look like you're afraid of the truth." And in a world where optics can be just as important as facts, Suge might actually be right. But it gets even deeper when you look at what Suge gains by inserting himself into this narrative. He's been painted for decades as the villain of hip-hop, the violent tyrant, the boogeyman. Yet now, from behind bars, he's trying to reframe himself as the voice of experience, the elder statesman, the one with nothing left to lose, and therefore, nothing to hide. By offering advice to his old enemy, Suge's doing more than just stirring the pot. He's rewriting his own role in the industry. And in doing so, he's adding another bizarre chapter to an already chaotic trial. But the question remains, will Diddy actually testify? Because the risk is enormous. If he takes the stand and lies, it's perjury. If he tells the truth and it's damning, it's a one-way ticket to a life sentence. But if he stays silent, if he lets these allegations go unchallenged, he may lose in the court of public opinion long before the judge ever brings down the gavel. It's a no-win situation. Unless, like Suge says, he really has nothing to hide. In that case, the truth might be the only way out. But let's be honest. In the entertainment industry, truth has always been the most elusive thing of all. And things are only getting worse for Diddy on the outside. His business ventures are collapsing, brand deals are being terminated, and former allies are distancing themselves fast. The media narrative is snowballing, and even outlets that once praised his mogul status are now digging into every skeleton in the closet. That glamorous, untouchable image he built for decades, it's unraveling, and fast. Because what we're witnessing isn't just a trial, it's a dismantling. A public dissection of power, control, and the darkness that hides behind the curtain of fame. The collapse of Diddy's public persona isn't just about courtroom testimony or legal jargon. It's about the reckoning of an entire era in hip-hop. For decades, Diddy represented the glitz, the power, the larger-than-life aura of success in the music industry. But now that illusion is cracking, and every new testimony chips away at the myth. His name used to be synonymous with triumph, with mogul-level genius. Now it's mentioned in the same breath as allegations of trafficking, coercion, and abuse. And what's most shocking isn't just that he's been accused, but that the accusations are coming from people who once benefited from his empire. People who shared his stage, his studio, his spotlight, and that's what makes this trial different. We're not talking about anonymous claims from the outside, we're talking about his assistant, his artists, his peers, people like Capricorn, Clark, who described Diddy's behavior behind closed doors as erratic, threatening, and fear-inducing. People like Cassie, who stood at his side for years and is now describing those years as a personal prison. It paints a disturbing picture, not of a man who lost his way, but of a man who allegedly built his power through intimidation and manipulation. And because of this, public trust has eroded almost completely. Every new accusation adds fuel to the fire. Every media outlet that once celebrated Diddy's legacy is now dissecting his downfall. Brands are fleeing. Partners are ghosting. Radio stations are cutting ties. Even some of his past protégés are remaining eerily silent. Or worse, subtly distancing themselves through cryptic statements and social media shade. Because in a case like this, silence speaks volumes, and the industry knows it. That's why Suge Knight's voice is so jarring in the middle of all this. He's a convicted felon, yes. He's also one of the few people who's seen the rise and fall of industry giants from the inside. His message isn't polished or rehearsed. It's raw. Go tell your truth, he says. Have faith in God. It almost sounds like advice from someone who regrets not doing that himself. Maybe it is. Maybe Suge sees Diddy spiraling toward the same fate he did, losing everything, ending up behind bars, remembered not for success but scandal. Maybe this is Suge's way of passing the torch, offering one last lesson before it's too late. But let's talk about the legal strategy. So far, Diddy has refused to testify. His team has focused on discrediting witnesses and casting doubt on the prosecution's timeline. They've presented exhibits, including photos, contracts, and even stylized images of Cassie to argue that she benefited from the lifestyle she now claims was abusive. But these exhibits feel more like distractions than defenses, because when it comes down to it, the most damning thing is the sheer number of people telling similar stories, different backgrounds, different roles in Diddy's life, but eerily similar accounts of fear, control, and silence. And that silence, it's becoming deafening. Every time Diddy leaves court without addressing the media, the narrative continues without him. Every time a new witness speaks up, the image of the untouchable mogul gets weaker. And the danger here, for Diddy, is that the public is already forming its verdict long before the legal system does. In a case this high-profile, perception matters. And so far, the perception is brutal. But the stakes aren't just personal. This trial is setting a precedent. It's forcing the music industry to confront its demons, the power dynamics, the abuse that's been whispered about for years, the way fame and influence can be used as weapons. For too long, artists were told to stay quiet, to play the game, to protect the machine. But now, that machine is breaking down. People are speaking up. Survivors are being heard. And whether Diddy is found guilty or not, the ripple effect of this trial will be felt across the entire entertainment world. And it gets even worse when you look at who's next, because Diddy might just be the tip of the iceberg. Investigations are reportedly underway into other major players, artists, executives, gatekeepers. And now that the dam has started to break, it's only a matter of time before more names surface. The industry is on edge. And this case, this trial, is the flashpoint. That's why Suge Knight's unexpected statement matters more than most people think, because he's not just offering advice. He's warning. He's saying, you're running out of time to control this narrative. You're running out of time to be honest. Whether that's genuine wisdom or veiled strategy is up for debate. But one thing's clear. When someone like Suge Knight calls you out for being silent, you've lost the last person who might have understood your silence. So where does this go next? The trial is expected to continue for several more weeks. More witnesses, more documents, more bombshells. And every day Diddy remains silent. The pressure builds. Will he take the stand? Will his legal team gamble on a risky testimony? Or will he go down the path Suge Knight already knows too well? The path of denial, isolation, and eventual collapse. One thing's for sure, the walls are closing in. And this story is far from over. Because the trial isn't just about what Diddy did. It's about how far the industry let him go before anyone said a word. It's about who enabled him, who protected him, and now, who's running for cover. So what do you think? Should Diddy take the stand and tell his side? Or would that be a catastrophic move? Do you believe Suge Knight was being genuine, or was he just using this moment to rewrite his own legacy? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to keep following this wild story as it unfolds, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. This trial is changing everything, and we'll be right here to break it all down. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, and we'll see you in the next one.